Hey YouTube, today we're looking at the cancel Rapidash with the community wild charge, and when I did my analysis, that video on Friday, I was like, oh, this thing actually picks up like 6 wins in the Ultra League, and it has like an 18 and 13 record against the meta. So I'm like, okay, could be interesting, but I want to test it out, and so I'm testing it out. I just put uh, two Pokemon that can like spam moves and Giratina, which has bulk. I wouldn't use this team because the last matchup was against Guzzlord, and Guzzlord just like walled this entire team. I'm like, oh, that's not smart. So definitely has some of its issues, and then there's like other like water type Pokemon that like can cause it a bit of trouble. So still, Rapidash was an interesting one. It does have its strength being able to wild charge stuff. The non-stab did cost me in a game. I felt like if you can like bait a wild charge and actually like flame charge first and boost your attack and then wild charge, it was better. Like some wild charges I just got off against like super effective moves that like one shot, but I think there was one matchup against a Clefable where I went wild charge and it does not take out, but it like a boosted wild charge would. So I think like there's some potential like fiddling with it that you need to do. Anyways, let's look at the first matchup here. Dragonite against Feraligatr. Obviously these Dragon Breasts are adding up. But because my claws are also adding up and they are shadow, Hydro should be more than enough. If it's not enough, it's like 2 claws away. And they actually let it go, and we are 3 claws away. So 3 claws, have a move, have switch. Out comes a Typhlosion. They did get a full Incinerate through, which is unfortunate, but they have to shield, and now I get Giratina on it, which will resist everything. What's in the back? Drapion, so I just kind of have to come here. So I think the first thing I do is let the first move go because, you know, I want to see how this Pokemon does against moves. This is a non-Shadow Drapion, so I don't expect it to do a lot. I just went straight Wild Charge here just because, again, it's a nuke of a move, and I think that I can just get to 2 anyways. And the Incinerates do add up, right? So one of the strengths of Rapidash is that it has the Incinerate. Incinerate's a love-hate, depending on how you look at it. As a damage and energy combo move, it is the best in the game, but it's a 5-turn move, so that sucks. But because Incinerate did so much damage there, I was able just to wild charge the Drapion out with that Incinerate damage and just wild charge after they shielded once. So having a nuke on this Pokemon definitely makes it strong. So Clefable here. I'm going to stay in and get 4 free claws before they finally get out. So game legging, and then when they get out, they catch on a Virizion. So here we go. Let's see how much this water does. Not water, fire. I know typings. End up shielding because I know this Pokemon is pretty glossy and it is a Stone Edge, so that is pretty sweet. Just go for the full Incinerate down so that if a Clefable comes in, I think this is one where so no, this is not the one. Because Drapion comes in, and instead of just going Wild Charge right away, I'm going to boost this attack, right? So one of the strengths of this Pokemon is that on its own, without the community move Wild Charge, having an already hard-hitting Incinerate and being able to boost the attack is a nice combo. And now I just double boosted. So now I'm going to try to get this off. They definitely could have got it to a move here. I don't know why they didn't throw, because they had an Aqua Tail, which is only a 4-turn move, and I just did 5 turns worth of energy there, like 5, yeah. So I don't know what happened there. Not 5, I've like 10 turns worth of energy. So they take me out with Swift after I've already launched a couple of wild charges, but at that point the game's over. So I think my opponent just like had some game issues on this one because between the slow start and the not throwing the move on the Rapidash, it's just like Okay, Licky. Yes, so normal is also tough for Feraligatr Giratina because you got double claw, right? So again, probably not the best team comp, but I just kind of threw it together. I was just, again, my thought process was like, okay, Rapidash is weak to ground and water, and Feraligatr can kind of deal with most of that. And then I need some bulk, and I was just looking at my Pokemon, and I was like, okay, what's the safe swap with bulk? I'm like, okay, obviously Giratina. I'm not weak, and I have Rapidash to deal with the Fairy, so I thought that it should overall work. And then for most part it did, but there was obviously some issues. Okay, so they We'll get a body slam off here. That's fine. Again, I've already kind of gone over the issues of body slam. This does get stabbed though, so will hurt a little more. Feraligatr comes in. So the problem with these incinerates is that it does take 3 incinerates to get to, and they come in Giratina. At this point, I am behind on shields here. So I'm behind on shields, and then one of my only one cons is going to be half. Oh yeah, I remember this matchup. I still think my opponent had problems here too. Oh no, I fast move denied them. Okay, so what you're going to see here is I chip the crap out of this thing to put it into Incinerate and Flame Charge range. And then I get a couple more Incinerates coming up here. I'm just spoiling the whole match. This is why I'm a bad showcaster, because I just kind of like don't talk about the matchups or I spoil the matchups. Okay, so already loaded with energy. Get the Flame Charge off, boost myself. This will not take it out, but that's almost a benefit because now I can get 2 more Incinerates here, shield this, Incinerate down, and as you're going to see here, fast move denial. My opponent did not get any fast move, and with that I could just go back to back wild charges for the win, because I fast move denied them apparently somehow. So sorry opponent, that should not have happened either. So good lead. They get out into Tentacruel, come in here. I figured that they're going to have Blizzard, so I'm probably going to shield. Okay, so what I was starting to say before I got sidetracked by the battles. What I was going to say is the first wild charge and the first flame charge to get to is 3 Incinerates, which is 15 turns worth of moves, which is quite a lot. Now the second one on both is 2, so you're looking at 25 for 2, which is less bad, but it's still not amazing. Now again, wild charge is a nuke doing 100 damage, and then flame charge is only 78, but it does boost your attack, and incinerate does a lot of damage. So the only problem is when you take 3 incinerates to get to your first move. So again, 5-turn move, 3 of them, 15 turns worth of moves. And add on to the fact that you are pretty glassy, you're almost always going to need to rely on shields with this Pokemon. Because the probability of you getting to 2 wild charges at 25 energy, over like 25 turns worth overall, is going to be quite rare compared to your opponents probably getting to moves way quicker, right? So just to put it in perspective, your 15 to get to a wild charge on the first one, Drapion gets to a crunch in 10, 5 times 2. Feraligatr gets to a Hydro in 10, 5 times 2. Or I guess I say 2 times 5 because the 2-turn fast move times 5 moves. What else is in here? Yeah, just like for the most part, a lot of other Pokemon are getting to their first move way quicker than you. And even you can argue the second move is just as bad, right? Because it takes 25, 5 times 5 overall to get to that. And again, when Feraligatr can spam at a rate of 2 times 5, it's just like you're just going to get outpaced by a lot of Pokemon. So that's sort of the drawback I saw in Rapidash, that when you're just going to get significantly outpaced in the moveset and you're glassy to begin with, you do need those shields. But you do have the luxury of being able to just like double wild charge, nuke your opponent. So those are my thoughts on like the Incinerate, Flame Charge, Wild Charge combo there. And then obviously like a 5-turn move, right? I just got caught on a 4x4 versus a 5x5, so they get the 2 volt switches to get to 8 and able to throw a charge move because I'm stuck in that 5-turn move. So Incinerate is a little tricky. And here we go, right? I land a wild charge against the flyer and it does not one-shot. It leaves them with like 1 HP. And here comes the Clefable. Same thing. I'm trying to boost my attack here before going Wild Charge. So I boost the attack and go Wild Charge. And despite a boosted attack and a nuke, it's still like they're still very comfortable in the yellow there, right? And they're able to farm up even more so because the Incinerate is such a long move that they get to a Moonblast here. So even with the boosted move and a Wild Charge, I'm still not able to one-shot a Clefable with some Incinerates. And because the 5-turn move is so long, they're able to fast move, optimize properly, get some energy to take me out with Swift, and then able to get some energy on the back end to take out my Feraligatr with Moonblast. So this has always been the problem with 5-turn, with the like 5-turn move Pokemon. There's not many of them because Incinerate is the only 5-turn fast move in the game. So it's like your Talonflame, your Skeledirge, Typhlosion, and now Rapidash that everyone's going to be using. So the 5-turn move is always tricky to use. And it will cost you some matches in terms of like optimization and if your opponent knows how to time properly and stuff like that. It's tricky to use. Don't get me wrong. It's very tricky to use. So Gengar is very glassy, but is very attack heavy. So Shadow Punch is not a good move in general, but does well over 50%. Again, an optimized fast move would be me throwing one Incinerate and then the charge move, but I don't have that luxury right now. They, for some reason, let me get a boosted Rapidash on a grass Pokemon. Oh, yeah, I know why. Because I got my ELO and I'm garbage. So this is my lowest ELO. I think lowest starting ELO. I call it ELO, but someone's like, it's not ELO, it's ELO after the person who named it. I know, but ELO sounds better. I got my lowest starting rating, I think, of all time. Like last season, I was at like 2,300. Even a bad season, I'm at like 2120, something like that. Like a bad season, I start at 2120. An average season is around like 2,300, and then like a really good season, I'm starting like 23 plus 23 to 2350, maybe a bit more than that. This season, I got my rating, and maybe I'll do a short on it, being like, what happened here? 2012, my worst starting rating of all time. Now, I have since gone 8-2 after that, so I'm at like 2085 or something already. So again, I'll make it back quickly, but I was like, that's weird. And it's because I have like a win rate of like 51%, which is very, very low. Like usually at the turn here, I'm at like a 55 to 60% win rate, and I'm at a 51. And again, I think it's a mixture of, I honestly think it's like 90% the game issues. Like I have lost dozens of games at this point because of these lag and not being able to hit excellence and not being able to throw a charge move and just like spinning out of games. Like it's not like, it's cost me a ton. So when the difference of like a 51% win rate and a 55% win rate is like 20 games, like of course 12 losses is going to make a big difference here. So that's annoying. What is not annoying is a snipe by Feraligatr with the Shadow Claw on the Ampharos, getting to an Ice Beam, CMP here, and because Vine Whip is resisted on the fire, I will be able to Incinerate and get to a move to take this out for the win. So there's 4 minutes left in the video. I know I haven't talked much about the battles. I've talked about Rapidash again. Rapidash is the main, here's the Guzzlord. I'm like, oh no. So I just kind of stayed in here, baited, and then tried to land an Ice Beam. My thoughts on Rapidash. Let me just check the fire rankings for PV Poke in the Ultra League. So I think what PV Poke said on their like Twitter post. Let me just look up fire. You got Talonflame at 29, Skeledirge at 47. I don't know how Shadow Ninetales is at 56. And then Rapidash is at 60. And then Typhlosion, which everyone kind of used in the past, is down at like 132. So PV Poke basically said it's a better version of Typhlosion now, because although Blast Burn is an insane move, it is a 3-turn move, and Thunder Punch just is a good coverage move, Thunder Punch, but it's, again, not anything that's going to threaten people. If punches are bad, all the elemental punches are bad to begin with. Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, Fire Punch, they're all terrible moves, and having a non-stab one at that just is even worse. So Thunder Punch, yes, gives you coverage on Typhlosion, but it doesn't give you much. Whereas Wild Charge, it's non-stab as well, but you are going to threaten a lot there. So that doesn't surprise me. And it doesn't surprise me that Talonflame and Skeledirge are above. I'm surprised Ninetales is above, quite honestly, just having only fire move. Like Talonflame gets above because it's an XL Pokemon with Fly, and Skeledirge with its unique typing, and then Shadow Ball. So of course that makes sense that they're above. I don't understand why Ninetales is above, having only fire moves. I think it's very, very bait dependent. I know Fire Spin got buffed. And I know Overheat is, you want to talk about a nuke, that is a nuke. With Stab, same type of attack bonus. On a Shadow Ninetales, let me just look this up. On a Shadow Ninetales, Overheat does 187 damage at 55 energy. So 3.4 damage per energy. So in just like neutral situation, that's basically going to one-shot a lot of stuff. So it makes... I guess from that perspective, if you can bait Weather Ball and land an Overheat, it makes sense. Again, you're just like a pure fire Pokemon though, so you have no coverage at all. Whereas Rapidash with Wild Charge was able to flip like some matchups against Waters. Like I was able to one-shot for Alligator. I went against Tapu once and got to Wild Charge that. So there is potential for more. So I just gotta hang on playing with. Yeah, there's potential for more options with Rapidash. It probably is a top. It's ranked 4 here. It's ranked 60 overall. I think that's kind of accurate. I think 60-ish in the top 4 fire is correct. Now, how useful is as a 60 ranked Pokemon in the Ultra League that is a fire Pokemon? The coverage is nice. Having that Wild Charge for your Feraligators, which are everywhere, is nice. There's still a lot of walls to this, like Giratina, you have nothing for. All the dragons resist fire and electric, so you have nothing for the dragons in general. Water, yes, you got coverage unless it's a Mud Boy, and then you're just walled again, right? So yes, it's gonna have some walls. Yes, your first move being Wild Charge and Flame Charge both at 3 times 5, 15 is not ideal, but being able to sort of, especially in a 50-second timer, nuke a Wild Charge and bail, or potentially bait a Flame Charge and then land a boosted Wild Charge with Incinerate, which again has its own problems as a 5-turn move, but is a great fast move. There's definitely going to be some play here, but just be aware that it is going to be very, I was going to say technical. I think PV Poke has some, yes, technical as a negative, exactly. So if you look at the traits on PV Poke, this traits just give you like an idea of like its strengths and weaknesses. So plus dynamic performs well with energy and has fluid dynamic matchups. Fast move pressure, right? Because Incinerate can add pressure. Shield pressure because you got Wild Charge, you can add pressure. And then momentum. uses stats boost to build momentum and power through teams, right? So if you flame charge, if you get a good matchup and you flame charge a couple times and your incinerate is boosted like twice, you're gonna just like run through teams. That was kind of the way that like a Scrafty or a Medi with a couple power punches can just like really just run through teams. And that's the same thing with this. If you flame charge a couple times, you can boost that incinerate and then really run through teams. Negatives: less bulky, below average defense stats, and may struggle to take hits. Yes, like it takes a lot of damage even on like not great moves. Clumsy, uses long animations, is stuck while attacking, and may not reliably fire charge moves. And that's the problem with Incinerate, right? You saw that in the Ampharos matchup. Ampharos got 2 4-turn moves off and the charge move before my second Incinerate registers. That's just one of the drawbacks of it. And a negative is technical, uses complex moves that may have a high learning curve. And again, it comes down to like when you have a wild charge that is a nuke, it does 100 damage, but it also lowers your defense times 2. There is an Incinerate's a 5-turn. You do have a lot of complexity here that I'm sort of used to, but if you're sort of starting out new, you may kind of struggle with this. You have the complexity of a 5-turn fast move, which in itself is, again, clumsy. You're going to get stuck in these animations, tough to fast move time. At the same time, you have wild charges, which lower your defense times 2, but it's not like you can just like fast turn move to try and burn out the switch claw because it's a 5-turn move. You're really allowing your opponent to get like energy and potential charge moves off you, which you cannot take. Or you can like boost your flame charge attack. Is that more of like a bait move? Is everyone just going to let the first move go in case they're worried about the bait flame charge, which is just going to boost your attack? So that's what it means by like technical. There is some like decisions on how to play this Pokemon. I used it more as like a closer on this team. This is basically sort of like again, it's not a good team, but it's a balanced team for Alligator, lead, Giratina, safe swap, and this in the back. I think you can kind of play it. I wouldn't play it as a safe swap because dragons and stuff just wall you, but I think it can be played as a lead or a closer. Either as a lead, you just like figure out what's on the lead, and then you can either determine whether you want to like wild charge and bail, or if you want to like flame charge and try and build that momentum and then just try and out incinerate and flame charge your opponent. Or you can use it in the back, try and grab shields and stuff like that, and then you can just like try and wild charge for the win against most stuff. So I think it can play either way, and I do think it is like a top fire Pokemon. But again, how relevant is fire in the meta? I think it's worth trying. Building a team for, but when it comes down to it, like if I'm gonna have to choose like, oh, I can only have like one team to run with or only like 2 teams to run with, it's not gonna crack a top team sort of thing. I think it's like accurately ranked at like 60. It's usable, but it's not something that I would like try to build around on a normal basis. Anyways, that is my rambly, incoherent thoughts. Thanks for watching. Let me know how your Rapidash or Ponyta community day went. I had great shiny luck. Again, I already had the blue fire Kanto one. I actually did not have the yellow one. But I got like 3 of each in the first 30 minutes. So that's all I played. I just want the yellow shiny. I'm not a shiny hunter, but it's such a nice shiny. Let me get it. And then I got like 3 and 3 in the first half hour at 2:30. I'm like, okay, that's enough. I'm done. Doesn't have any PvE relevance. I already have like 5, 12, 15 is good enough for Ultra League here. I already have one at like a 1, 13, 15 or whatever IVs for Great League that I already had. It's useless in the Master League. It's not good for raids. So it was easy just to like play half an hour and then call it quits for me. But let me know how your community went. And that is it. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.